Welcome to Flying Upstream, the podcast where we uncover the choices, practices, and wisdom that defy mainstream conventions. I'm Kristyn.
And I'm Luisa. And together we're here to illuminate the alternative paths that have shaped human experiences through the ages. In each episode, we'll examine ways to move beyond societal norms. We're passionate about how timeless wisdom and unique lifestyle choices can foster healthier, sustainable, and enriching lives.
Join us as we navigate, challenge, and celebrate the beauty and insight of walking the road less traveled. If you've ever felt like you're flying north for the winter while everyone else is flying south, you've found your flock. I'm Kristyn Medeiros, and with me is my wonderful co-host, Luisa Anderson. Today we have an empowering panel session featuring three incredible guests.
That's right. We are excited to dive into the journeys of our guests and explore the unique insights they bring to the table. Today, we'll be playing a fun game of two truths and a lie to help them share their stories in a creative way.
Let's start by introducing our first guest, Rhiannon Franz. Rhiannon is a mom, wife, and seasoned entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience building businesses and working in corporate environments. She holds a master's degree in communications, which she uses to optimize businesses for success. Rhiannon is the founder of Revive Marketing, where she helps service businesses, startups, and thought leaders find their voice to connect with customers. Welcome, Rhiannon.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Likewise. All right. And our second guest is Tomeka Jones. Tomeka is the founder of Flawless Life Coaching. Tomeka empowers women to unlock their true potential through self-love, confidence, and resilience. With over 23 years of service in the United States Air Force, along with her experience as a life coach, nurse, and author, she blends her military background with personal growth techniques to help women embrace their unique beauty and live without limits. Tomeka, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Flawless family. Glad to be here.
Amazing. And last but certainly not least, we have Blaine McLaughlin joining us. Blaine has been a dentist of a multi-million-dollar practice for almost 30 years and is now transitioning into real estate, investing to support his family as he approaches retirement. Welcome, Blaine.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is going to be fun. Looks like we got some awesome people here and we'll have some good conversation. Hope we can teach you people out there listening something. And let's go.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now that we've met our guests, let's kick things off with a fun game of two truths and a lie. So each of you will share 3 statements about yourselves, 2 true and 1 false. We'll see if we can guess the lie. Rhiannon, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I didn't realize that my intro said a master's in communications degree, so I can't use that as one of my truths because we've already talked about that one. So I guess I could say I've lived in Chicago for 20 years. Let's see, I already said mom. I already said that. I already have a degree. Let's see. I've worked in Detroit on Detroit Auto, and I would say the last thing about me is I played the saxophone for 7 years.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so let's see. I think saxophone is an interesting one. I don't know too many people who have played the saxophone.
I would go with the lie is the Detroit Auto.
Okay. All right.
Who else wants to take a stab at it?
Are we supposed to guess too?
I think so. That'd be fun if you want to.
Chicago. There's no way you've been in Chicago that long.
That's right. That's the lie.
Oh.
Yeah. I live in Los Angeles. I've been in Los Angeles for 20 years, originally a Texan, and lived in LA for 20 years. Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of Texans in the house tonight. I like
Yeah,
it.
I'm kidding. Wow.
I like it. All right. Well, great job, Rhiannon. Now, Tomeka, it is your turn. So tell us 3 statements, 2 truths and a lie, and then we'll take a stab at it.
Okay. 2 truths and a lie. Okay. I'm Jamaican. I love motorcycles. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I'm Jamaican. I love motorcycles. I have a 7-year-old daughter.
I'm going to guess it's the age of your daughter is the lie. It's a different age. That's my guess.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to guess that you don't have a daughter.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
I feel like the motorcycle one is true.
I know, me too.
I think that's true too.
I feel
Yeah.
like that one's true.
I think that's true. You're giving me kind of like the vibe where it's like, I know you can handle yourself and you're not afraid of anything. So I'm like, I think the motorcycle one is true.
Okay. So you ready for me to tell you the lie? Yeah.
We're ready.
I am
We're
not
ready.
Jamaican.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
African American. I do have a 7-year-old little girl, and I do love anything adrenaline rush. I'm that girl.
All right.
I love that.
Love
A
that.
lot.
So
And that's the kind of spirit you need when you are conquering the world, right?
Mhm.
yes.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay, Blaine, you're up next.
Well, I have lived in Minnesota my whole life. I was a state champ in swimming, and I biked across the state of Iowa 12 times.
Wow. Okay. If you have really biked across Iowa 12 times,
Across though, Iowa might not be that
450 miles ish each time.
12 times.
So there's a reason you know that.
Right.
okay, I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
You look more like a wrestler than a swimmer.
I did wrestling too. Gosh, pretty good.
All right. All right. So yeah, maybe not a state champ, but something else. So I would go with that's the lie. I don't know.
Anything else? Any other?
I think you have not lived in Minnesota your whole life.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He got
Anybody
that
want
little thing, that little Minnesota, or whatever, that.
the white pasty look because there's no sun?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Minnesota as the lie too, because the other two were sports focused.
Mhm.
So
I grew up in the state of Iowa,
Okay.
Okay.
so
That's
I've
why
not
you've
lived in
driven it
Minnesota.
across 12 times.
Yeah. And there's a bike ride that everybody should know about called Ragbri, and it's an annual bike ride across the state of Iowa, and it's a full week long, and there's 25,000 people that ride it every year, and it's so fun,
Wow.
super fun.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome. Awesome.
That is great. Yeah. You know what I love about this game? And thank you all for participating and being great sports. I love being able to just start seeing your characters, right? We talk about in these podcasts every day, we have guests who share the impact that they're having on the world. And I love that. That's why we do this, because we want to be able to empower other people to take control of their lives in whatever methods. We like unconventional, but in whatever methods work for them. But I love just being able to put a whole person to the people that are changing the world. So thank you all for participating with that. I really am appreciative. And I want to start with you, Rhiannon. Let's talk about a pivotal moment in your entrepreneurial journey that shaped your approach to business.
Oh, I guess mine would be kind of easy in the fact that I found a business coach that is helping me on my path. And now it's my sort of new mantra to people that everyone should have a therapist and a business coach, or like a therapist and a personal coach, right? Like they're so different things. It is a lot of mindset work, but it's a lot of positioning and working through. So I think that while having gone through therapy and done all my mental stuff and feeling like, okay, I, as a person, these things that I work on, but whenever you start your own business and you're on a full path of entrepreneurship, there's so many different challenges that we face, that we come across. And the moment that I decided also to invest in myself and put the money into a coach really changed it for me. That gave me so much of a different mindset. I come from 20 years of working in corporate America where we don't, we expect corporate America to train us. We're trained in the corporate mindset. We're trained from bosses above us. So having done that for 20 years, it was a complete shift to say, I'm doing this on my own, and how to all of the challenges that come along with that. And so having sort of somebody in my corner and having that coach behind me and teaching me these things has been a pivot for me that changed lots of things about my business, but mostly myself, my mindset, my approach.
That's beautiful. I feel like a different mindset is so important when you're changing where you are in life, not just changing your path, but your mindset has to change with it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep repeating the same mistakes over and over, just in a different way, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really great. That's really great. And Tomeka, I'm curious to know for you too, as someone who empowers women through coaching, what do you believe is the most significant barrier that women face when they're trying to embrace their true potential?
I think just being authentic, being themselves. I think in society, we don't give people grace or room to just be your true authentic self without the judgment, without the stereotypes, with all the things. I know for me, when I retired out of the military 2 years ago, I hit that barrier. And I'm like, holy HE double hockey sticks. Who am I? Like, who am I? Who is Tomeka? Where do I go? What do I do? Like, because I breathe, sleep, and eat the military, right? For 23 plus years, I didn't know anything else. Went to work, got up at 4, executed, did what we were supposed to do, took care of my patients, I'm a nurse as well. So did all the things. And then at the end of the day, go home and then press repeat. Everything was bam, 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 scheduled. But then when I got out of the military, there's no more routine. Should I sleep in till 6 or should I get up at 5? And it's like, okay, Tomeka, do what you want to do. You out of the military, chill. But at the same time, I didn't know who Tomeka was. So I had to find my identity as far as who was Tomeka, right? Because I didn't know. And before the military, I came from a poor family, a home, and trauma and all the things. So that added on to the military, and me getting out of the military in return, it's like, okay, what do I do now? And it hit me because I was talking to this woman and she asked me, she was like, who are you, right? And I was like, and tears just began because I didn't know, right? We have these labels. Okay, I'm a nurse. Okay, I'm an officer in the military. Oh, I'm an author. Oh, I'm a life coach. But that's not who you are to the core, right? And a lot of times we don't know who we are until we do the work to figure that piece out, right? Because all these labels that society put on us or we put on ourselves, that's not who we are to the core. So once I started peeling back the layers and doing the work, that's when I began to heal. And I teach women the same thing, right? You have to do the work. You have to peel back the layers and ask yourself the whys, right? To get to who you are or to anything, any root cause, right? So that's what I tell women, like when we one-on-one coaching, like let's peel back the layers. Let's start here versus here, right? Because I know you are, I know you have your degree, I know you this, I know you that, but who are you really? Yeah. And I start out with, when people ask me now, I start with affirmations. Oh, I'm loved, I'm beautiful, I'm confident, I'm strong. But I am Tomeka Jones, what I do, because those affirmations just affirm who we really are, right? And those are important, right? So.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that. And there is, as Rhiannon mentioned, there's a transition there that happens from working in corporate America and working in a space where what you do next is outlined for you. You don't have to think about it. You just need to either follow the instructions, follow what somebody else tells you to do, or just follow the ladder that everybody else is climbing. And I'm very interested, Blaine, because you are transitioning from dentistry to real estate, and that's a big shift. But I have a sort of two-part question for you here. First of all, in dentistry, what was that experience for you? Was it more of something where you were able to be open to creating your own schedule? And how did that help define you or change you, or what was that for you? And what transpired this big shift into real estate?
Well, the reason I went into dentistry, I've always loved medicine or science classes when I was growing up. And I had to do something in that area. And so the reason I got into dentistry is the fact that you could be your own boss. I mean, I know a lot of my friends are ER docs, or family physicians and that kind of stuff, or surgeons. And man, I tell you, they work a ton. It's like, oh my God, what do you, you got to do what? 24-hour shift. Are you kidding me? I mean, just weird, just crazy stuff like that. And so I got into this. I'm like, I kind of like to be my own boss, and kind of on the other side of things compared to what we just heard from these two lovely ladies here. But there was no structure. I was not given anything. It was like, you're taught how to fix teeth in school. And then it's like, hey, you go out there and you be a dentist. And most dentists run their own business. How many business classes do we have? 0, none. And I'm like, hopefully I find somebody that I can work with that knows what they're doing. Right. I mean,
Right.
and so I worked in a couple of practices and found one that I really, really liked. And I liked the doctor who was there, and she was awesome. And so all my stuff, I wasn't, like I said, these guys are structured and everything's taught from above. And this is like, what do we do? And we're like, well, I don't know. We have never experienced this. Let's make this up and make this business up as you go. And so that's a whole different deal than again, what they're going through. And again, it taught me a lot about entrepreneurship. I mean, that's what it is, right? And so by doing that, you realize, well, it's just, I surround myself. The most important thing is to surround yourself with good people. And that's one of the big mistakes that I think my mentor, my other dentist that I bought the practice from years ago, made, is she was trying to find anybody that would work so she wouldn't have to do this. And so there's different ways to learn, right? You can learn from, wow, this is what I really like about this, or you can learn and go, wow, I really don't like that method. I'm going to go the other way. And so I pulled that all together and got into and did my dentistry, and we have a great practice now. I'm still working full time in dentistry, but as time goes on, when you're in dentistry, and if your guys are watching, you see I'm like this all day, crouched over, and that's tough on the body. It's tough on the body, repetitive movements like that. And so it's a hand thing. All your hands are everything, right? And the carpal tunnel problems. I haven't had any of that, luckily, but I've had some fingers broken. Well, that throws a wrench into your day when you're trying to work with broken fingers. But I just feel myself getting, as I increase in age and I'm thinking towards retirement. My kids, I do not have a 7-year-old, thank God, because I don't think I could do that again. Praise to you. But my kids are all in college, and I'm thinking about I'm thinking about retirement. And so I had this big aha moment, another one, a few years ago. I'm going, well, what's retirement look like for me? I like dentistry. Maybe I can keep doing it for a while, but there's other things I want to do. I have some of my friends are having major health problems, and they can't do things. And I'm like, I want to see the world. At that time, I've never been to Europe, right? I want to go see what's going on over there and just experience other cultures. So I started looking at my retirement plan. And my 401k, a really good boy. And that's what they tell you, that make sure you put your money in your 401k every month. So I've been doing it every month for 25 years. And you build this nest egg, and the market goes whatever, and it's all wonderful. You retire and you're set. And I'm going, gosh, there just isn't that much money in there. What's the deal? And so I started figuring this out, and I did some calculations. I've been getting a 3% return on my 401k over the last 25 years. 3%. So that hit me, right? I mean, talk about a punch in the stomach. Oh my God, I am not doing this anymore. I've got to stop trading my time for money.
Yes.
Because that's what I'm doing. If I'm not in my office, I'm not making any money. I have to be there. And I don't want to be there that much. And so I got to stop trading time for money and need some sort of passive income. My 401k is not working the way it's supposed to. And I've always been intrigued by real estate and I've dabbled in it for years. I just haven't focused on it. And me and another one of my buddies who is a dentist as well, I went to dental school with him, came to this realization about the same time. We're like, we're doing something different. And we got involved in this real estate conference down in Dallas, Texas. We talk about Texas, it seems like, today on this podcast. Yeah. And so we went down for a 3-day conference, and I'm like, all right, this is it. This is my retirement plan. I can get some passive income on this. I can ease out of dentistry. And that's another bonus about being in my office. If you're in corporate America and you're like, hey, can I go half-time? Can I work 2.5 days a week? They'd be like, I don't think so. Right. But I can do that. And I go, hey, how do we make this work if I go down to 2 days a week or whatever it is? And so that's why the transition to real estate. So I can ease out of dentistry, still have an income, and provide for my family and future.
What I really appreciate about all three of you is the fact that you've all come from very different backgrounds, right? So Blaine, completely unstructured, Rhiannon, very structured corporate, and Tomeka, you were in the military, right? Very structured.
Yeah.
But despite all of that, you all forged your own path forward. And so I want to call attention to this for our listeners, because flying upstream, if you will, isn't about doing it one way or another. It's truly about doing it in your own way. It's really about finding that path that works for you specifically and not for someone else. And that's what I'm hearing from all of you. And I can so appreciate that. Yeah. So really, really, really beautiful. Rhiannon, I want to circle back to you and hear a little bit about your experience with Revive Marketing. And I'm curious to know which strategies that you have found most effective for helping clients connect with their audience.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love how you kind of transitioned from us to the upstream, flying upstream, and this challenges and things that we've done differently. So yes, while I've had 20 years in corporate, I loved Blaine's story and can yes and that, because I did take a period of time and I invested in real estate, and I'm like 3%, I feel you, because I didn't do that. Like, we invested in real estate and short-term rentals, and then we're able to sell like at the top of the market right around 2020, 2021. It's a great opportunity. And that is an example of my entrepreneurial spirit that I've always had. Even though I was in corporate America, I was seeing those returns on 401ks and what they told us to do. And I was like, what can I do while I'm still working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks in corporate that I can do as a side hustle? So I was able to invest in a couple pieces of property, manage them, do that, have that experience. So when I tell people like Revive Marketing, I've only been in business for a year, it's like, I've been an entrepreneur. I've had different versions of businesses, and all of those learnings carry over. So it's each iteration and each new thing that I do is taking all those learnings from the past. It's like there's no such thing as failure, right? It's first attempt in learning. It's not failing. And that every time we're trying something new and trying something different, we're learning how to move that forward. And so with Revive Marketing, what has been amazing is to be able to help startups and small businesses. For example, I've worked with like landscape clients. I've worked with a coaching client, build a course online. I've been able to help law firm create their marketing structure. So from personal brands to local businesses has been some of my experience through Revive Marketing. And it's been very rewarding because I'm helping actual people versus like corporate can feel so like, I'm helping multi-million-dollar companies make hundreds of millions of dollars more money than they're already making. And I'm like, I got super burnt out. Like, I got so burnt out. And Blaine, you talked a lot about your physicality of burning out. Like, mine was mental and physical. And so that course and that change, a couple things happened for me was the pandemic, which I call for all of us the great reevaluation, because we all took a moment and we all reevaluated our lives. One way or another, we all shifted something. And that was just this huge like awakening for all of us in one way or another. And so for me, I found out I was pregnant in February of 2020 and March was lockdown. So I waited to have a kid until I was ready. I was 39. I was like so excited and had a virtual baby shower. I was like,
yep.
like I waited all this time and now I have to have a virtual baby shower. Like all emotional. But now here I am 4 years later. I have a now thriving 4-year-old who's like screaming upstairs because he wants mom at 5 o'clock in the evening here. But it's also the drive and the passion. So it gives me a whole different perspective being a parent and like priorities and what I value and what my time values. So helping actual people, helping local businesses, helping business owners. To your point, Blaine, these people, you aren't given business marketing skills. So I try to come at it from that perspective with my clients and say, let's look at your business goals. So I sit down with all of my clients and I do a vitality plan, which goes with revive. We revive your business and we do a vitality plan. And I really look at their whole business. So from their business goals and their business objectives, not just what do you want to get out of marketing. Ask me what you want to get out of marketing. What do you want out of your business? And let me tell you what marketing you need to do to get there. Right. It's so I try not to let my clients feel like they have to tell me what marketing they want. Why would they know what marketing they need? What does the business want to achieve? And let me tell you how to get there. And so one example of that could be just booking calls. Maybe you just need your calendar full of fit calls, right? So how is that going to happen if your website doesn't have a book a fit call button on it? Like it's little things like that where we go, okay, let's walk it back. What is your big goal? Let's put that up front and center. That's just an example, but I try to help clients think through, again, what is your business goal? And then what are the steps you need to get there? And through that is a lot of audience. And I think that was one of your questions here was like, how should people think about how they talk about themselves? And that's like an age-old question too. But essentially, I think with the age of AI and the age of ChatGPT and having these tools in front of us that are like game changers, especially for a lot of small businesses, I think it's also about how to use it, what do I ask ChatGPT? Like, okay, this is the goal for my business, but what does that even mean? And so I think a small shift that people can make out there is to think about your audience, their needs and wants. And so when you're messaging to them, like my messaging here is saying, as a business, you don't need to know marketing. You need to know what your business wants to do. Let me help you get there. Right? That's my message because that's speaking to your fears and frustrations and needs and wants, which is that you don't want to do marketing. You're frustrated by it. And so I'm helping to fulfill that. And so when you ask ChatGPT, like ask it what your audience's fears, frustrations, needs, and wants are. And that's a great first prompt. That's a great first question to start to shift your thinking around messaging to your audience and giving them what it is that they need to hear. A lot of that comes down to like communications theory. So I'm a master's in communications. And one of the things I loved, even just in undergrad, when I first sat in my first communications class, and it was like, as a communicator, we tend to think out, like, I need to talk about me. This is what I can do. Here's what I can give you. This is what I bring. Me, right? But that's just being the sender. You also have to be the receiver. And so you have to hear back. Communicating with people is also hearing, right? And like that's sometimes one of the hardest things is listening to people and hearing their side and understanding what it is that they need, right? And so in marketing, it's a lot of hearing what it is that people want and need and their fears and their frustrations, and then speaking to them to be able to meet that.
As someone who has multiple podcasts, I can definitely attest to the fact that it is hard to speak out. Like I'm usually wanting to talk about me, like right now. I just want to talk about me, right? Instead of thinking about what my audience wants to hear. So I really appreciate that. And one other thing that I've appreciated that we've shared so far has been our experiences with the education system, right? Blaine, you went to dental school. They taught you how to fix teeth, take care of teeth, but then like, how do you run a business? And in corporate America, Rhiannon, is like, you were in it for 20 years. And you took a lot away from that to the point that you even took some of your learnings and made your own side hustle investments in real estate. And I want to turn it back to you, Tomeka, and discuss your military experience, because I'd love to know what you took or what you have taken from your military experience that has impacted your coaching style and the techniques that you use to help your clients.
I think for me, what I took away from the military was just the resilience, right? And the discipline from, like I said, getting up at 4 a.m, going to PT, and just pushing through it. So yeah, the resilience piece of anything, that will be the thing that I've taken away from the military. And then going through these trainings and knowing that I may have a boss or a supervisor or a commander that I don't agree with, but knowing that, okay, this too shall pass. Either I'm going to leave and go to a different base, or he or she is going to leave to go to a different base, right? Somebody's going to have to leave eventually. So for me, that was a plus for me getting through each assignment. But just the resilience, just pushing through it. A lot of times, me being the only Black female at a table with all men, sometimes just being pushing through, just feeling like I'm not being heard. And then when I do, okay, yes, this is Tomeka or Major Jones or whatever, this is how we're going to do it. And my ideas get shut down. And so I'm reevaluating the approach. How did I approach this? And why did they shut it down? And okay, well, I'll try it again tomorrow, a different way. This time I tried a different way and we're on board with it. I'm like, okay, so why? Okay, just stay the course. So I think for me, it's just so many different things that I went through personally in the military. I feel that made me into who I am today. And I think in a nutshell, it's the resilience piece, just knowing that I can get this too shall pass and I can get through it. And that's what I told my clients too, helping them build the resilience that, okay, first, let's deal with the trauma. I'm not a trauma specialist, so let's get you that help to deal with that piece. Once the trauma has been addressed, then we can go to what you want in here, where you're going in life and what you want, and I can help you and walk with you. Rhiannon?
Rhiannon.
Okay, as you were saying earlier, that therapist, they address all the issues from your past, but that coach, they're your future. They're going to walk with you into your future and they're going to hold your hand while doing it. So I think that's the difference of the two. I have a therapist and I have a life coach. I have a business coach, all the things. And like I said, the resilience piece, if anything, that I took away from the military, it was tough, but I got through it. Having to leave, and I was a single mom the latter part of my military career, and having to deploy, go overseas to leave my daughter with my brother, which she really don't know my family because I've been away from my family, but having to leave her for however many months at a time with my brother I'm like, I have to change gears a little bit and figure out the things that she was infant at the time. Well, 3 years old at the time. That was another reason why. And I didn't want my colleagues to say, oh, you have to do your time just like I have to do my time as far as deploying and doing all the things. It's not fair that just because you're a single mom, and it's not, right? So I'm like, so I had to evaluate myself and my life and what I wanted and say, okay, it's time. 23 years, it's time, right? And for me, my DNA is service. I joined the military service, became a nurse, service, life coach. I love to serve, right? So that's my purpose and passion in life, is to serve. And I finally found my purpose and passion in this life coaching. I struggled with that my whole life. Yeah, nurse, yeah, military, yeah, worked at Krispy Kreme, high school year, yeah. Smell like donuts. But like when you find your passion and purpose in life, I feel like nothing else matters. And then 2, I feel like everything aligned. Yeah, there'll be some struggles, but guess what? You're going to go back and it's going to align even more. And it's just going to be a upstream journey, right?
Yes.
So yeah, it's the resilience piece for me, being in the military and just having to get uprooted so many times. I think I've been to maybe stationed maybe 12 different bases. I think 12 different assignments. So yeah, some perseverance and resilience going on here.
I should say so. Tomeka, what I really appreciate about what you just said is that you took something that for most people would be intensely challenging, waking up at 4 a.m. every day, being deployed away from your young child, that that lifestyle would be, I think, challenging for myself at least, if not for many people. But you didn't stop there and just say, scrap the whole thing. You said, my life has changed. I need to change with it, but I'm going to take the pieces of myself that worked into my new path. So you took that resilience with you.
Yes.
You didn't just say, waking up at 4 a.m. was terrible. I'm never going to do that again. I hope you're not waking up at 4 a.m. every day.
No, I wake up at 5 now, so.
So you're really sleeping in,
Right.
But you're able to take that with you. And I think that's a really beautiful and important thing, is that when we do change our life, we're going from a corporate world to becoming an entrepreneur, for example, you don't have to just scrap everything that you've learned up until that point. You can still take pieces of with you into your new experience, and recognizing that you are who you are. And even though what you do day to day may change, you're still the same person and you're just shifting your mindset, as we said.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of challenges, I'm going to head to you, Blaine. I'm curious to know what challenges that you're facing or maybe you anticipate facing now that you are in the real estate market, and how are you planning to overcome them? Because you mentioned that in dentistry school, the whole thing was like you own your own business, but they didn't teach you anything about that. So now you're heading towards a new path where you're on your own to learn all this. And how are you working to overcome some challenges that are coming your way?
Well, as I said, I've been dabbling in real estate for many, many years. Right after dental school, I started doing some stuff and got involved with a local guy who did a lot of that. And so, I'm like, hey, if I invest, let's get in some apartments or something like that. And he's like, I can help you with that. And he helped me get in some, and the returns were average, kind of like my 401k. Well, that's below average, but they weren't that good. And we had, one property got foreclosed on. And it was just, so I had a lot of lessons that I learned there. Right. And when I decided a few years ago, hey, I'm going to switch gears and really go into real estate. This is what I'm going to do. Number one, I'm going to educate myself better. Okay. Because I'd read Kiyosaki's books. And if anybody's read those, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, they give you just a totally different mindset of what's out there. And so I'm like, I'm going to really get into this and try to understand this stuff. And so that's number one, is educating myself. So I told you I went to this 3-day conference, real estate conference, and learned about mostly multifamily, like apartment complexes. And then I've continued to do that. And I've been on podcasts. I have my own podcast and I listen to thousands, it seems like, all the time, reading books and just this kind of stuff. I think Rhiannon said something about educating yourself earlier, and that's so important. You got to take that step and educate yourself on what you're doing. And then I touched another thing, as I touched on this a little bit earlier, is surround yourself with people who are doing what you're doing, or great people. The real estate investing is not new. This is not something new. There's not like nobody else is doing this, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that are very successful in this. Find out who it is and see if you can't follow their coattails or learn from them. Or how many of these guys both talked about coaches and mentors and stuff. And I have a coach. I have a real estate coach. I have multiple people I talk to about things, problems and stuff like that. So if I have issues, I have a whole support community. Then they're all like, hey, we'd love to help you guys too. And we want to help. I remember being where you were 5 years ago. And I was just like going, what's going on? Or what's up with this? Where am I? I can help you through that. And then, so those are the two of the big things, is being educated and following, not trying to recreate the wheel. I'm following the people and learning from the people who are doing it now and doing my best there. So.
I absolutely love that. I love that you brought up something so important, right? That's the reason we're all here, is community. The power of community, the power of coming together, the power of listening to each other's experiences, to each other's stories, the power of working together to be able to achieve a goal and not reinvent the wheel. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, especially with, like Rhiannon mentioned earlier, technology. We just need the expertise and the community and the coming together to be able to utilize all of these resources and all of this knowledge that we have within each other, so that we can individually and collectively continue to just fly on up, right? I love this conversation tonight. I was messaging Kristyn here on the side and telling her how this has been my favorite. We're like almost 40 episodes deep now, and this has by far been my favorite to record, for that same reason, because of community, sharing each other's stories on the same platform, and just seeing how everybody's different paths have led us all to the same place that we are today, which is following our own paths, creating our own paths. I think there's nothing that's more beautiful.
Yeah. And I too, really quick, I wanted to say, I too have real estate, but learning from you guys, I do need to become more educated, and because I rely on property management. But once again, like you were saying, education is key, and knowing what you learning it. I think that's power in learning the business. Same with like you was telling me about, or telling us about your 401k plan, right? 3%, that's, yeah. And you didn't know that, right? If you would have known that now, even known to revisit it every month or so, right?
I try to ignore it now.
So this is really helpful, and thank you, ladies. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, agreed. I love it. When one of us rises up, we all rise up. I love that. So as we're beginning to wind down here, I know something for myself that I try to keep in mind is I have my own kind of mantra or motto or quote that helps me when I'm feeling frustrated or having a tough day. And I want to ask all three of you, what is that for you? So what is a favorite quote or motto that you go back to again and again when you're going through a tough time or a big life transition? Let's start with Rhiannon.
Okay, I actually have two, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you two. One of them is that I've just recently learned is if I'm feeling overwhelmed, break it down. So it's like, oh, I just know I need to do these 3 things, but the 3 things are not getting done. That's because the 3 things are actually probably about 20 different little things, right? So what are those actual steps? And once I write them down and like, then I start ticking them off, right? So if it feels overwhelming, you feel complicated, break it down. And the second one is what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah. Nice.
Love it, love it, love it.
Love it. Yeah, I feel like where's my pen and paper? I need to be writing down these words of wisdom. All right, so inspiring. Tomeka, how about you?
So I'm going to cheat too. I have 2. Be quick though. So the first one, whenever you're going through contrast or going through anything negative in life, take a step back and just ask yourself 2 questions. 1, why am I going through this? And 2, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn while going through this? And I think when we take the time to reflect and to do that, we'll get our answer and we'll be in a better space after we get our answer. And then 2, my go-to affirmation is everything is working out for my greater good, no matter how it looks. Everything is working out for your greater good, no matter how it looks. And you say that over and over until you start to believe it, until you start to feel it, right? And that helps me in my journey.
Nice.
I love that too. I love that. I feel like that's really speaks to that mindset shift, right?
Yes.
Where you tell yourself like, yeah, today was terrible. I didn't do anything or I didn't accomplish what I wanted to, but it's part of a bigger.
Yes, working on my greater good, no matter how it looks. Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, Blaine, let's go over to you.
Okay, I got my 2 as well. Because I don't want to be left out. I don't want to.
Right.
But actually, Tomeka said this earlier, and I don't know if she remembers, but one phrase that I've learned is "this too shall pass." And I love that because it's just when you look at life and how it flows and everything, everybody has hard times and things aren't always going well. And it happens. But you know what? It's going to pass. It's going to go away. It's going to go behind you, maybe not away, but it'll go behind you and you can move forward.
Yes.
And in some of the greatest learnings, I learned this from a mentor. And when he said this, life coach years ago, he's like, some of the worst things that ever happened to you are going to be the best things that ever happened to you. And you're like, what? Are you crazy? No way. And then you start looking, going, for an example, I got out of dental school and I had to take board exams. You take a board exam, you get licensed, and then you can go practice dentistry. Well, they changed the board exam the year we graduated. We had about 2/3 of our class fail this board exam. Normally it was about 6%. They changed everything up. Nobody knew what was going to happen or what was going on. 2/3 of our class failed. And I was one of them. And we're like, you get the letter in the mail and you're like, finally, I'm done with school and I want to go practice dentistry. And you get this letter saying, you failed boards. And you're like, one of the worst days ever. But what I did is I was like, okay, what can I do? I'm going to go practice what I didn't do right or whatever they want me to change. And I also got a job in a dental laboratory. So I looked at the other side of things. And so a dental laboratory will make you the appliances, whether it's a denture or a crown or something, that you put them out. And so I got to see the other side of what I was doing. So when I got my license, I knew what they needed to make this as good as the best as possible. And so I look back and go, yeah, that sucked really bad, but man, it made me so much better at doing dentistry, so much better. And it turned out to be really, really good experience. And number two, and I hope Tomeka and both you girls you might want to use this, because this is great. This is what I say to my kids all the time. Pay attention or pay with pain. And
say it again.
Pay attention or pay with pain. And pay attention to what's happening, what's going on, or you're going to pay with maybe not physical pain. It might be physical, it might be emotional, it might be spiritual, something like that. But pay attention or you're going to pay with some sort of pain. And it's, I don't know, I'm going
to use that with my 4-year-old.
Yeah, sure. I know. It's great, isn't it? And, and it gets you, again, thinking. And so I've taught all my kids that. And when they say something's going wrong, I'm like, what didn't you pay attention to? Well, I didn't do this and this and this. Okay, very good. And so now you're suffering financial pain or whatever it is. So there you go. There's my 2.
Ooh, you dropped the mic on that one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I have to write that one down. You were speaking to me on that one. That was directly. That was amazing. I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight, for taking the time to share your story, for taking the time to sharing what you do with the world every day, not just with our listeners, but with the world. It is people like us that are going to make the change of the better world that our kids and the future generations will get to live in tomorrow. So thank you, Tomeka. Thank you, Rhiannon. And thank you, Blaine, so much for sharing your stories. And I know that our listeners will benefit from this wisdom.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of Flying Upstream. Thank you for being part of our community of free spirits. Until next time.
All right, free spirits, that's all the time we have for today on Flying Upstream.
We hope this episode sparked your curiosity and ignited a desire to explore the extraordinary paths less traveled.
Even when the current feels strong, a whole world of possibilities awaits.
We'll see you next time on the other side of mainstream.
So keep questioning, keep challenging, and most importantly, keep flying upstream.